Good morning, Meg. Thank you so much for being on Entrepreneur Talk Show.
Thank you for inviting me. Good to see you.
For those that do not know Meg, Meg is actually all the way in Guam. It's
Woohoo!
such a coincidence that I mean, we bumped into each other in Vietnam and we got to know each other, and now we became like talking every week on a Zoom kind of thing.
Yep.
I'm so glad to actually have her on this talk show. Perhaps just to get started, perhaps Meg, you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what you do.
Well, what I do right now is I really help individuals and organizations define what they really want. I help them find clarity,
Mm-hmm.
and then I try to help provide guidance to get them to make it a reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I provide a lot of workshops and coaching packages that help focus on really attitude and behaviors that create success.
Wow.
So it's been a lot of fun. So what I've done is I take a lot of my background, 35 years in corporate, in
Mm-hmm.
mainly sales, leadership, and customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a lot of the training that was provided through companies that I worked for, like Xerox and Ford Motor Company, and they give you great training. And then I kind of taken a lot of that and some of the training that I got, plus certifications that I've gotten since, and combine it all together and create something that's me, but also what I know sitting in those seats, what I expect for my sales reps, or for my service managers, or in my sales team, etc. Just kind of put it all together, but just kind of make it work.
You've got that 35 years of working experience wrestling with men in very macho industry.
Yeah. I started in motorcycles. So all through high
Wow.
school and college, I worked in motorcycle dealerships. And so I used to have to deal with that. I'd, you know, behind the counter, and these guys would come in their motorcycles, and it's like I need to shim my engine, and they ask me a question, and I want to talk to one of the guys. It's like, okay, come here. And one of the guys would come to the counter, and they'd be talking to him. It's like, well, Meg, what do you think? And I tell him, and then it's like, oh, he kept on talking to the guy, and finally they go, okay, come on over here. But it was constant proving yourself. Even in Ford Motor Company back in those days, it was really about proving yourself as a woman in somewhat a man's world, which I've seen a lot of that go away, but it's still out there a little bit. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been a great career. I've totally enjoyed myself.
How did that battling to constantly prove yourself have changed, or that you're researching? Because I see that little word that you have there, energetic presence. What does that come to?
Oh, that's my company name. So after I left, I my last position was with a big Fortune 500 company as
Mm-hmm.
their general manager, sales manager.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I also do on the side is I've been with Junior Achievement, which is um, a student program. Junior Achievement's over 100 years old, and it teaches basically entrepreneurship, work readiness, and financial literacy. So when I thought about energetic presence, actually a lot of people I ask people like, how you describe me. And of course it's energetics and it's the presence, but energetic presence is really about what kind of impact that you make. And it's that vibrational energy that you give out. So it's like when you walk into an office, you can feel the culture around it. You can see how the leadership style and how people kind of react. What kind of engagement do you have? So that's really what energetic presence is all about, is really how do you show up every day to make an impact. So it's about paying it forward. It's kind of values driven leadership and culture. um, I'm not sure if that actually answered your question.
Well, don't worry about my question. It will just come along as it is. It's just,
Okay.
I know you do a lot of studies in areas of values, and how does that actually compromise what you do now?
Oh, well, as far as values, I think, and I even go back to, again, corporate life or the corporate world. You used to always have the vision and mission and guiding principles and your values. And really, that's what your values are. They're guiding principles. And I think that's just the essence of everybody.
Mhm.
Um, And so when you know what your values are, you know what's really important to you. They're really your energetic drivers. And so it helps with decision making, but that way it's like when you want clarity on exactly what you need to do, what you want to do, your values really help guide that. And your values change as you change in age and as you learn and expand. And your values might change a little bit, but they're still very similar. But you know, you kind of grow up with a lot of values from your parents, from people that you're around, the books you read, the TV that you watch, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it really is values driven leadership, cultures, anything that you do is so important. I mean, I've even done it with my husband and kids, where we have kind of a list of values that the way we want to treat each other, the way we want to show up. So I just think when you start with that first, it's so easy then, because then you can get into other beliefs, and then you get into your behaviors and the different actions that you take. And it just kind of expands outward. So when you get into all the other things that you have to do, which, you know, your finances and your relationships and your career and your, you know, what you want to do for fun and recreation, how you contribute to other people, you know, through volunteering or whatever it is that you do, your values still drive it. So it's really about being balanced, but also aligned. And your values help you stay aligned to what you want, because it's hard to just stay balanced. It's like, I want to give, you know, a third of my time to sleep and a third of my time to work and a third of my time to family. And, ooh, I'm out of time. But it's like, if you're aligned, your values are aligned, no matter what you do, you're living on point. So you're really mission focused. And it just makes life easy. You know, fun is one of my values. I like to have, you know, fun and humor and laughter, whatever. And so I can find it in work, and I can find it at home, and I can find it with my friends and families. So it's kind of like those things are important to me. Contribution is another thing that's really important to me. So I give a lot of time and energy to different organizations here on Guam. And also, you know, just even doing something like this with you, or so when I'm contributing. But if I contribute, if I know I'm contributing to somebody's success, that's my inspiration. And I have that little saying that always says, let the success of others be your inspiration. So if I know that I'm having a positive impact in somebody else's success, I'm good. I mean, that's what drives me. That's what makes me happy. And, you know, I mean, part of that's always been one of the things that we were raised with. It's kind of part of our DNA within our family. Just because we used to have to do volunteer work at the Deaf Blind Club or at the soup kitchen after church, or, you know, whatever. So we were always kind of taught to give and to pay it forward, per se. And, you know, so it's values kind of help you know that you're aligned, because you know when somebody steps on one of your values, because that kind of triggers something.
Yep.
And so when you know your values, you know what's triggering you. Yep. And you can then tell somebody what it is much easier, versus just saying, this person just really upsets me, and you not really know why. But it's like, all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Something like, you know, freedom might be somebody's value. And so when somebody's, you know, trying to control you and force you into doing something that you don't want to do and all that kind of stuff, like peer pressure, it's never been one of those issues with me, because I know freedom was always important. You know, being authentic is really important to me. Yes. So you just kind of know, when you know what's important to you, it's so much easier to stay focused and going forward than anything else. So I think values is, you know, any kind of values work you do, I think is great.
Just now you mentioned a very nice quote or tagline. Is that your favorite tagline?
Yeah, probably. That's probably my favorite. Okay. I have a lot, you know, because, you know, especially when you do a lot of reading and stuff like that, and a lot of development. I mean, I usually have a quote on top of each page, because, you know, there's certain quotes that really drive me. I really like the one about, of course, Henry Ford, coming from Dearborn, Michigan. I like a lot of Henry Ford stuff, but, you know, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So I think, you know, even a lot of the stuff like Napoleon Hill stuff, I think is great, where it's Think and Grow Rich. You know, if you can, whatever you can, I'm trying to think of the quote, but something about if you, I'm mixed up, but whatever you can think you
If
can.
you
A
can.
man's desires is if you can think of it, then you can create it, if it's in your imagination. So anything like that. And then the Michelangelo quote that says, um, about succeeding, expectations. So if you're, it's better to have your expectations high than low, because, and that in a way was one of the things that happened to me, is that once I got to my career and I became a general manager and I was with a Fortune 500 company and that kind of stuff, I kind of reached it. I mean, it's like, what's next? And that's when it's like, well, I've always wanted to have my own business. So when I left, corporate, it was like the best thing. It's like, it's a new journey and it's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And there, the challenges that come along, you just kind of keep on learning too. But it's really a lot of fun to kind of like keep going to that next level. So it's the old aim high, shoot low.
You
Because
mentioned about sometimes you have like the biggest lessons or biggest challenge that comes to you. Can you just
oh
share with us one challenge, or the best thing is to learn from people's failure or challenge that we could actually learn more than has gone back to success?
you know what, I think the biggest lessons I learned, and I don't want to say I learned over and over again, but it really is about, I think it's really that attitude of gratitude and really focus on the positive. So for me, it's like, between, you know, I want to say divorce, graduation, maybe getting caught up in a rift within a corporate position. When it comes to, deaths, just, just change in jobs, even as a parent, when your kids, eventually get out, grow up, and, you kind of have to start letting go to that control and everything. So I think it's really just that attitude of gratitude. So it's like everything comes in and out of your life for a reason, and just kind of discover what that is. And then all of a sudden, and the other thing is just to be grateful that they were part of your life. And some people are in your life for a year, and some people are in your life for a lifetime. And so going to my 40th high school reunion, although I'm dating myself, I don't care. But going to my 40th reunion, I mean, so many of those people that you grew up with as a kid, we're now reconnecting, and it's been great. So I think it's just, another one that I love is, the people that you meet on the way up are the same ones you meet on the way down. So I really think it's just about treating people the way they want to be treated, the way you want to be treated. It's kind of like the golden rule is treat people the way you want to be treated, but the platinum rule is treat people how they want to be treated. And so I think the biggest lesson is just, be kind to people, be a good person, and just be accepting and understanding. I know that was one of the things I've learned in the last couple of years is the judgment, but it's really was judgment about myself. So it's that saying, it's like, when you judge one person, you're not defining them, you're defining yourself.
Yep.
And that's the kind of things that you learn. And sometimes it's a harsh reality. But gosh, is it, once you get past it, once you start, you get those triggers, and you start, the first time I criticize somebody or say something about something, even if it's in a passing, it's like, oh, it's like, oh, like Andrea thinks she's so, special. She has this talk show on YouTube. It's like, whoa, why would I say that about her? What is it in me that I don't like, or that I have a self-doubt, or I don't think I can do, or whatever. So it's always a reflection of yourself.
Yep.
When you criticize or say something about somebody else. So it's learning to pick those things up very quickly. And I think the more you do that, and the more honest you are with yourself, I think those are where the lessons get learned, and you learn them much faster. It's the old fail fast and fail often.
Yep.
But it takes a lot of vulnerability to to admit it, right? Admit that you're not as good as you thought you were, or and I shouldn't even say that. It's more about being humble, knowing that it's not just about you. It's not really saying that you're not as good, because I think it's about saying you're awesome just as you are.
Yes,
Right?
you
It's that unique and that authenticity and everything else. and don't let somebody else tell you whether you're good or you're not good. Just be good.
And
Just love yourself.
all my guests on this talk show, apparently, they all have very big bookshelves behind them. And I always end with this question. What's your favorite book that you recommend to all of us here?
You know what? I have too many favorite books. It would be very hard to say. I will tell you the latest favorite book that I'm reading. And I pulled this book out because I had a feeling you're going to ask that. But I really love his book. And the only reason why I say Larry Farrell's book on the entrepreneurial attitude is because it's the 100-year anniversary for junior achievement. And what he did is he went across he went all over the globe and interviewed people that were junior achievers, the alumni, and got some feedback. But the book that I'm going to recommend for people that I just think is great, and it's called, I'm going to look on my Audible real quick what the name is. It's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it's an awesome book, but it's really talks about clarity of what you do, why you do it. It helps with business. It's really personal branding, but it's really the whole thing about everybody has a story to tell, and people connect with stories. It's kind of like talking with photos. People connect with photos. So the whole thing about the story is creating a story that people connect to. And I just think it's a brilliant, it's a brilliant book. So if anyone's looking for anything like that. So that's my latest favorite. How's that?
Thank you, Meg. It's been a wonderful time talking to you. I learned so much. Some of my takeaway is actually in areas of values, in areas of culture. You also spoke about a lot of these emotions that's involved and how we could actually use that to our best that we can be, or the best versions of ourselves. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you'll be on our show again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Adios.